What's up, guys? Josh here at Modern Frontiersman. We kind of got a last minute live for you tonight with Dawn Readiness. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? Hanging in there, getting through the times, catching some crazy news today about the 24-hour stuff that might be popping up, and just staying ready, bro.
Inform me. I don't know what you're talking about because I haven't seen any.
Apparently, Iran said within 24 hours they will be attacking Israel.
Really?
That's what's been coming across today.
Huh. So I guess that whole warning from a few days ago wasn't completely nonsense, huh?
Nah, is that you talking about the one Biden did, where he's like, "Don't do it"?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who's listening to Biden?
Right. One second. All right, sorry. My son just got up and come down here.
Yep.
Go on.
Like I
Go
said,
back to bed.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, guys, today, see, we were emailing back and forth, and we want to talk about some, stuff for how did you word it? Stuff for non-veterans.
Yeah, just average citizen, Minuteman, prepared for any scenario type fellas, and what type of gear, equipment, training, mindset is kind of required to be ready. That when that hookah hits you, bro, it hits. Um, but yeah, we were just gonna discuss some of that stuff. That's pretty much what my channel is about: is preparedness, prepping, gunsmithing, um, really all of the above, and a little bit of nuances, gear reviews, stuff like that. So I like how you approach a lot of gear. I mean, you're not like the bougie gear dude, and I love that because
As Krisky says, a gear snob. I am not.
yes, I love that. And I like good stuff, but I don't like. Obviously, there's a whole level of that world that's above me.
Right? Yeah. There's plenty of gear out there that's for people that make a lot more money than I ever have.
Exactly. But there's also a lot of gear out there that will get the job done, and make sure that you're super equipped for a reasonable price. In my experience, I think there is like a balance where like you definitely don't want to just sit bottom without like hyper testing everything and maybe swapping out some bolts and even when it comes to Molly stuff, if you buy the cheaper stuff, make sure you know how to stitch and you know how to repair stuff.
Yeah.
That's been my experience.
Yeah. That's something that people are always kind of surprised to know, like about Marine Corps boot camp. I remember we spent some time actually just sitting there and learning how to sew. People are like, that's crazy. It's like home ec or something. But I mean,
It's
your
important.
gear rips, and it's it's something you have to do. Fix your stuff.
Absolutely. They make the Kevlar thread too. I think that's maybe something no one really talks about because it's just a little thing. But like, I keep a roll of Kevlar thread and needles, pretty much wherever I go. I also keep like a regular thing of thread in case it's not super needed to use the Kevlar one because that damn Kevlar thread for one spindle was like $25, I think.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't even know they made that.
Yeah, they do. It's pretty cool.
Huh. Um, yeah, I mean, like I think it was Modern Minuteman Jay was talking about earlier, something about PSA. People used to shit on PSA a lot, but now people have been, kind of accepting the more affordable gear more, I think. And I
Yeah.
think that's good because a lot more people are getting into this kind of stuff, and not everybody can afford the BCMs and the Daniel Defense and all that.
Well, did you see there was an interview that the owner from PSA did about how, they cut their margins by selling direct and their main thing is like they want to get as many guns in the hands of as many Americans as they can. Um and also, I mean, they've really expanded their lineup. Like PSA used to just be simple rifles and now look at all the stuff they got.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy how much stuff they really do have. I know I
Yep.
was trying to decide what I wanted them to send me, like when I first become an affiliate for them, and I had a really hard time deciding because they have so much stuff that I want.
Did you decide on something? What'd you decide on?
Oh yeah, I mean they sent me the AK.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Just the regular PSA AK they got? The
yeah. Oh, you hadn't seen my videos on it?
maybe not. You got a lot of videos and channels, man. I've been watching a bunch of them, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hadn't had an AK in a long time. Last time I bought an AK was when I first got out of the Marine Corps in '09, and they were like $300 brand new, and I'd been, and I wish I hadn't sold it, but I hadn't had one since then. So,
yeah. I mean, I started on the AR platform, and I'm so familiar with it that I've just stuck to it. Um, and I remember back, I think like before COVID, and even during COVID, before they hit the Russian ammo ban, man, 7.62 by 39 was like the cheapest ammo on the shelf. You could get
mm,
it. I think you could get a 20 round box for like $3 or $4.
hmm.
And then once that changed, I was like, yeah, I guess I missed the boat on the AK.
Right. Um, this kind. What are y'all's thoughts on AR9s? Um, go ahead.
I've actually been thinking about getting one. I used to have a Keltec Sub 2000. Was like, okay, let me just get something that takes Glock mags. Um, I've really got to mess around a lot with the Kalishnikov KP9, which has proprietary mags, but that thing is just sweet. I like the KP9 over the AKV from Palmetto State because the barrel's like an inch and a half shorter. And if I'm gonna get a PCC, I really don't need it. I don't want a 10.5 inch barrel.
Mm,
Um, but for an AK or an AR9, I think they're phenomenal. As long as you can get it to run right and you can get it small enough. I don't see the point in a 16-inch AR9. Um, but like if you can get something with like somewhere between a 4 and 8.5 inch barrel, and you can fit it into a bag, uh, because the whole point of the AR9 is like I want to cut weight. Now that we have 300 blackout, it's like okay, my 300 blackout is a little bulky to put into a bag, and the mags weigh more. So it's like if you want something lightweight that you can do a little more work with than a pistol and you can find it easy to carry it and bring it with you everywhere or keep it in the truck. Um I think it has a place. I think that they are phenomenal for females. Like if you got a wife, man, I don't know if there's something better for her than an AR9. And that introduces her into the platform and like being able to train and work her way up to using rifle calibers and stuff in that platform. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
yeah, I could see uses for it. like I'm wanting to get an AKV, and but I don't think that should take the place of your regular AR in 5.56.
Oh no.
Because I think that's a constant debate, and even was it I don't remember who was saying something about it the other not too long ago. Like we're at this point now, it's
I
like
think it was Trench. Trench just did a
it
bunch of
was, yeah.
videos.
So what I was talking. Yeah, I think it was while he was playing a video game or something. And somebody that was like, "Why are we?" I think DJ was on there talking to him, and it's like, why are we still asking the question of, what's the best caliber use and stuff? And I agree with that. Like, there's uses for other calibers and stuff like that, but as far as our standard, we should stick with AR with 5.56 and 9 millimeter for sure.
I agree.
Not
No, it
because
would
it's
be
the best, because I don't believe that, but
yeah,
because of availability and being able to switch parts out between weapons and magazines, and it's just better to
definitely.
just stay standardized across the groups.
I mean, since like we're talking about Minuteman stuff, like you said, there's a place for 9 millimeter carbines and stuff like that. But when it comes to preparing for the ultimate get down, I think that you'd be better off with like a recover tactical brace or a what's the other one where the 320 goes into, um, like where you can put your pistol into something that has a stock or a brace, because that's something that like if the world had gone to crap, you could put it under a jacket or something.
Mhm.
You could carry it really small. Um, those I think are a little bit more, because once you go up into the rifles platform, I mean, with 300 blackout, I think it's kind of just put them to rest, really.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I wonder about this comment here. Like, the only issue is with body armor showing up everywhere, being affordable. The PCC is undergunned. I I don't know if that's so. I actually don't know a whole lot of people who actually have body armor. Like, I know it's really big, and a lot of people have it, but I don't know that a lot of people concentrated in one, in individual areas really have body armor. I don't know. What do you think?
Man, I would say that at least 65% of people with body armor, that stuff doesn't leave a closet.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah.
So, I mean, soft armor is maybe something that, like, some bad guys could roll around in soft armor. Um, but I mean, I think the PCC is for, you want to save money on ammo, you want to train with it, you have covered all your bases already. You got a 5.56, you got a 308, you got your pistol setups, you have your gear setups. Like, it should be something way down the end of the line that you should prioritize if you were going to get one. Or like I said, I think if you had a wife, and she wasn't super familiar with shooting rifles, then, that type of thing would be really good. And even your kids, or, if you got a 14-year-old boy, him learning on an AR9 would be kind of nice. Stuff like that. But yeah, I don't see a huge place for him. Did you see the one where Trench did? They ran drills with their pistol, and then they ran drills with the KP9, and they timed speed and accuracy to see, like, is having an actual rifle platform shooting 9 millimeter that much better than just using your pistol. And I mean, even when I'm at the range shooting people's PCCs, I'm kind of like, I think I could get this all done with my pistol.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think I've never actually owned one myself, but um, they're kind of cool. Like you said, being able to kind of fold them up like the Sub 2000 and stuff, and just being compact is cool. Or like up close or just keeping in a vehicle or something. I dig it.
The Gen 3 Sub 2000, I don't know if you've seen it, but they finally came out with a Gen 3 so you can put optics on it. So, like, it rotates and then closes, because the old one used to fold, the top used to like collapse, and you couldn't put a an optic on it. And then even when you got this adapter, the optic was like hanging off to the side, so it like defeated the purpose of like being able to slide it in a bag real easy.
Yeah.
Um, some of those little the stuff that you see now where it's like a little suitcase and you just fold it
Yeah.
out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually never even owned an AR pistol before.
Really, 16-inch or longer on everything, huh?
Yep. Um, but like I said, I think I might have said something about it last night. Bear Creek sending me one. I think they shipped it today, so I'm gonna keep it in the truck, for stuff like that, little 10.5 inch for up
Nice.
close and in the vehicle and stuff.
Are they? Do you know if they're sending you standard charging handle or side charging handle? Because I know they like those side charging handles.
It's a standard charging handle. I mean, the side charging
Nice.
handles, I guess, is cool, but I just wanted to stick with the, what I'm used
Yeah.
to.
I like the. That's one of the things on the AK that I've never really like really learned to absorb is the right side charging handle. Like I've shot the Galil and I like the Galil is kind of a hybrid and it has that left side charging handle, which I like. But yeah, the right side, the reach around and everything else, I'm kind of like, all right, I probably if I'm gonna have one of these, I would definitely want to train on it a lot.
Yeah. Um, when it comes to gear, uh, like we're talking about the regular. I actually got my the course like content stuff that I've been planning sitting right here. One second, I'm sorry.
Nice, perfect. So I want to say, what's up, Rip Curl Readiness, Sheepdog, Brandon M, Jim Ketchum. Just want to say what's up to you guys. Appreciate everybody coming through.
Yeah, so I might have to get up and whoop my son here in a minute if he keeps coming down here. He's
Oh,
not.
so I guess since we're live on both channels, it's I don't know. Is it like both chats are combined, or am I just seeing my chat? I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm seeing the ones with yours have like a little link like emblem over there next to their name. I don't know if you see that too.
Gotcha. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, so those are. By the way, everybody, we talked about whether we were going to do this on his channel or mine. All of my subscribers, if you're watching, make sure to go subscribe to Red Dawn Readiness if you haven't already. I wanted him to do this initial one, this first video together on my channel since I have more subscribers. So more of y'all maybe that aren't subscribed to his channel can see him and go subscribe to his channel. So I think you
Appreciate
understood.
it.
That's why I wanted to do that.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So I don't. Did you saw the list that I put out when I've been trying to kind of come up with a standard list, gear list.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning it, but I don't know if you posted it any of the chats or anything that we got going on.
Yeah, I
Um,
did. But if anybody didn't see it, if you don't mind, like I'll go through it right quick.
yeah, let's do it.
Because this is stuff that just your average dude can acquire easily, and I mean that's what we're talking about. So, and I want to talk about it too. I'm going to do a full fledged video on this exact topic about why there's certain things I left off, and you can tell me if there's things that you would add or take off this list. But I'm saying, a pack, of course, to carry your stuff. You need your rifle, the cleaning kit, and this is like a bare minimum, very basic bare minimum. Like you have to have this stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
anything else is extra or mission dependent. So then I got like 6 or 7 mags minimum, just a basic combat load. Some sort of load bearing vest or plate carrier. Don't really care what, just as long as you got something to carry your ammo and stuff. Appropriate clothing for your environment. Preferably camouflage clothing for your environment, whether that's actually like M81 or something, or just jeans and a flannel shirt, whatever whatever suits your AO. Some quality comfortable boots, some sort of fixed blade knife and or bayonet, extra socks, rain gear, sleeping gear, obviously for the season, hydration, 2 canteens or Camelback, IFAC. I put on here like 3 days of food because that's usually my goal. Kind of put like to always just
Mm-hmm.
be ready for 3 days. Um, I think an e tool is important. Somebody could choose to take that off, if they wanted to. But as for me, and if I were setting up a group, I would have the e tool be necessary or be required. A compass, map of your AO, signal mirror. Did I already say sleeping gear? Yeah, I did. I got that on here twice. Um, some sort of small hygiene kit, write in the rain notebook and pen, a light with a red lens, some blister care, moleskin or blister care supplies, a 550
Mm-hmm.
cord. So very basic, stuff that anybody can get a hold of. I know some people say, well, some people said, when you add a saw, you need a, like a silky saw or whatever. But in my opinion, everybody doesn't need to carry something like that. I don't think, and
I
it also
agree.
depends on your environment, so all that other stuff kind of just extras that every other dude carry or one person. And really not everybody even has to have, it's not a deal breaker to me if you don't have a radio, because not
Yeah.
everybody, depending on the size of your group, maybe not everybody even needs a radio. Maybe if you actually have, like, if you're lucky enough to have a platoon sized element, which most people do not, like
Mm-hmm.
say 30 dudes, 3 squads, you could have one radio per squad. You could have 3 radios, like one radio per squad or one radio per fire team or whatever. Like, like
For sure. I've
even
I've
in,
thought about that a lot.
yeah, even in like, even when I was in Ramadi, like every like team leader would have a radio, but that's all. No, not everybody had a radio. It was not necessary.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you need to be in a certain level of basic fitness, because if you're gonna be on foot, yeah, you can't be dragging everybody way behind. Um, that is probably gonna be tough in like a world where you're grabbing whoever you can grab to help out. And I
Yeah,
think you would need someone to like coordinate all that. So instantly, some small group, probably three, two, somewhere between 1 and 4 guys all together that make decisions about how we're going to operate, stuff like that. I think one tool which is really valuable to have on you is the the
like paint can opener.
paint can opener.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, it's a simple, easy thing you can throw in pretty much anywhere. But I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, you obviously can think about different things that you would keep in your pack. Um, there's a lot of different stuff that you could keep in there. How much ammo? Who's gonna, somehow bring? What would you think be the minimum loadout you would need for each individual? I mean, and I think it just like depends on the size of your group. Um, I think it depends on what else type of gear you got with you. Me personally, on like my plate carrier, I like to have 6 mags at least. I have a bandolier, and then I keep another 6 in my backpack. So like 12, something like 18 mags.
yeah. So I think it depends on the situation, but that's why I say, like, bare minimum. I would just always make sure that everybody has at least 7, or like you said, 6 on your rig or whatever, and one in the gun. But
Mm-hmm.
if more is needed, cool. And sometimes maybe not even that many be needed. Like we see cops might carry 2. It depends on what you're doing
Yeah.
and what what level of SHTF we're talking about.
Yeah, that is true.
Because like right
Um,
now, it would be an SHTF event if my neighbor kidnapped my daughter or something. You know what I mean?
oh yeah.
But I don't need 20 magazines to go handle that. You know
No.
what I mean? You
But
know
I
what I
am
mean?
taking the chest rig quick.
Right, right. Yeah. But it depends on the situation.
Yeah, if that happens, then I'm probably, if I catch him and I recover her, he's most likely gonna get every bullet that I have. They're gonna have to pick him up and like, like looking like a cheesesteak off the ground.
Right. But uh I mean, do you think that like that list that I just mentioned? I think that pretty much would cover the very that
I do
minimum
too.
standards.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would put merino wool socks because there's some socks that even if you got two pairs, you're going to be jacked up if you're not wearing the right socks. Um, yeah, I would say electrical tape or duct tape. Um,
Yeah.
I would say a tarp would be good, but I mean, you could kind of bunch that into sleeping gear. Um, let's see. I mean, did you mention like basic weapons in that at all? No, right?
Huh?
But the only weapon that you mentioned in that was the fixed blade, or did you mention like at least a minimum a rifle
Yeah, yeah. Rifle was like the first thing I said, I
first
think.
thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
your pack and your rifle. Yeah, yeah, that's the first things on here. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much covers it. I mean, if you want to just run a chest rig, if you want to run a belt, I mean, I think anybody who falls into the Minuteman or group scenario, they're already going to have a bare minimum of stuff and
Hmm.
probably have run it quite a bit. Like, I don't think you're just going to find, some guy at Walmart and be like, hey, so here's a chest rig and a rifle. Come with us. I doubt that's going to happen.
Right.
I think logistics is probably going to be the biggest factor. Is like people have a lot of connections. Like even locally, I know have a strong group of guys. But like if something was to happen quickly, and you couldn't coordinate, um, communications are gone or something like that. Or even if communications aren't gone, it's like who's leaving their family, who's coming here, where's everyone meeting at. What's going to be the mission once you're together? Is it just going to be holding down an area? Uh, I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the stream because it's like, man, if the government actually needed our help, how reluctant would like our military numbers right now and people signing up is lower than it's ever been.
Yeah.
I know people would stand up for our country, but would they fight beside the government or would there be way more factions of militias forming and stuff on their own? And then that gets dicey for operating next to the military because unfortunately we haven't had a federal government that promotes having militias in areas and strong groups like that. I desperately think that the next president in the like I hope I don't see a left leaning person in office that would suggest this kind of stuff. But I think that we need to have more state militias and regional militias that work with the government. Now, that's just my thought because if there was an invasion, you would need that. You, you know?
Yeah. One thing too is me and Chris had talked about this before. There could be a situation where you might not need to carry much any gear. Um, I try to tiptoe around this subject, but
Definitely.
where you might just need one magazine in the gun and maybe one in your pocket, in your back
Mm-hmm.
pocket or something. If we're talking about an insurgency type situation where you don't want to stand out and you don't want to, if most of the fighting and stuff is happening in cities, which it likely would be because that's where that's where their enemies are going to target.
Mm-hmm.
That's where most of the people are, and the government buildings and all that. Uh, you might just be on a rooftop, dump a magazine, and then run away. And
Yeah.
having all your gear would actually probably get you killed.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could. And I think that scenario would call for the Minuteman type. I mean, uh, if that was happening in every state all at once, if it was like a coordinated where they're going after big cities and trying to commandeer all the big cities, I mean, I guess police would get involved in that. That would be probably the first line. I don't think that type of level SHTF police would be walking away. So, I mean, I think that you'd want to depending on how it is, you may just want to bug out to the woods and hold it down with a group somewhere out there and just wait for things to blow over, because this country's hard to take. I mean, I honestly personally think it's impossible to take the United States. I think you could collapse it, but you ain't taking it. That's really where I stand. I think you would have to nuke this place to smithereens, but I don't think anybody could just forcefully take this place.
Oh no, no, not at all. And if anybody did get a good foothold, that's when I'd say, I like to look at the Afghanis. You know, you have it just kind of have to just wear them down. You know what I mean? Do like that
Mm-hmm.
when every Joe schmo's dumping a magazine here and there as convoys are going by, and you could. That's when blending in with the population really counts.
Mm-hmm.
Because uh, especially since like this is our home, like we have the time on our side. Like we live here. They can't. They're not
Mm-hmm.
going to just stay there forever. We are. We can just ride it out until they get tired of fighting.
Yeah, for sure.
Just harass
Um,
and
I mean, and we still have our military. Like, we still have a national guard. We still have certain probably Marines that would be on the ground, and your main thing is going to be your area. If that was to happen, is like how far uh are you going to want to be away from things, or is it something where the military would be obviously be calling on every armed body to be a part of it? So it's like, do you go and link up with them, or do you hide out with a group? And I think depending on your area, that would determine a lot. Because if you're
yeah,
in a high velocity area, you might as well. If you're capable, you go with the military. Um, and if you're in a more secure location, or a location that's harder to take, then you need to hold that area down. I think that that's valuable, because there's going to be other Americans that are weak and old and fragile, and someone's going to need to stay behind in certain areas. So,
yeah. That's something I was thinking about earlier too when I was thinking about talking about this stuff. Is I would have more respect for somebody that come up and said, "Hey, man, I'm not combat effective. I can't fight, but I can do this or that. Like I'm a paramedic, or I'm an electrician. I can make sure the power in your base stays on or whatever. Like I would
yeah,
respect that a lot more than somebody coming up like, yeah, let's do this. I'm ready to kill everything. You know what I mean? And knowing good and damn well they have no idea what they're doing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I would respect the person that just straight up said, I can't do this, a lot more than the douchebag.
for sure. Yeah, be honest about your capabilities, and you know, don't this ain't pick up basketball at the basketball court. So, like, it's life and death. If you have an opportunity to rise to the occasion, then cool. But if you're around other people that are all on the same mission set of, fighting or defending or hiding out, whatever it is, just always be honest with your capabilities, because this type of stuff is like, it's life or death.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. And and if you are going to go down down that route, the when like as I was planning this rifleman course, the I was trying to decide like what order to put everything in because I was trying to design a course for just the average person, just do very basic infantry like training.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I thought about it and thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Very first thing is physical fitness. Like I can't think of anything in that situation that's more important. That's more important than what rifle you have, what brand of pack you're wearing, whether you have a plate carrier on or not. Uh, you still, whether you
100%.
got one on or not, you gotta move and get out of the way of the bullets.
I would take a team of, like, if you had two teams of 10 and one was super fit with very limited stuff and no gear, I'm taking the fit squad over the out of shape has all the gear, every time.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Uh, But yeah, yeah.
There was something else I was thinking of is let's see. Oh, rifleman stuff. So for me, as like picking up a rifle 4 or 5 years ago and just being like, all right, I'm not just gonna pick up a rifle and have a rifle sitting in my closet. Like from day one, I got a rifle and I was like, I'm gonna train to be the best I can be with this, um, and operate it to the best of ability that I can get to on my own if need be, and some of the individual stuff I've been able to feel very competent in. But then when you start adding in other people to these scenarios, when you start room clearing with multiple guys, um, or you start thinking about like airsoft wars and stuff like that, I think that level of involvement with other people is super key. And I think
Mm,
that's the hardest stuff to get because it's hard to coordinate with other people. It's hard to, fortunately, recently I found guys that we like to do this. So that's made it easier. Um, but shooting on the flat range is like, yeah, it's good to do it. But like once you start introducing other people with guns and gunfire, even if you don't have people shooting back at you, there's a lot more that goes into it. I mean, I think that you need a certain level of individual skill before you do that because you just do. Like, there's other people there. Like, you need to like know what you're doing without thinking about it, so you can think about all the other people and how everything's moving. Like, if you have to think about your own individual safeties and stuff like that, then that's going to be harder for you to watch what everyone else is doing or be able to move here or move there or shoot, move, and communicate. Is the shooting is probably the easiest part of that, right? Then
yeah,
moving becomes a little harder, and now communicating while you're doing that, and what do you say? That type of stuff is the way next level for Minuteman, civilian, regular guy stuff.
yeah, yeah, totally. People talk trash about airsoft and stuff. Yeah, some dudes are like, really nerdy about it and stupid. But I've been wanting to get into. I've been looking at airsoft guns online because I've been wanting to get into it. Uh, because of that, like being at like everything I've taught on this whiteboard and everything I've any kind of instructional videos I've done in my on my channel, you could practice that with airsoft, and that would be fantastic training. That's a
Fantastic.
big thing, like you said, being just communicating with each other and all that. That's way more valuable than just standing there shooting at a target in your backyard or even on
Way
a
more.
range. Way
Correct.
more valuable.
Yeah.
Um, because I mean, the majority of what you're doing in combat, from experience, is moving, not even shooting. It's just moving, communicating, getting to cover, trying to figure out what's going on, like just a lot of, administrative work.
Yep.
A shooting is a very small part of it.
Yeah, and I like my whole life I played basketball, so that I translate a lot of stuff to basketball. Um, I played point guard, so like I was the one that constantly is having to direct people. You go here, you go there, you come here. Hey, come set this screen. Hey, cut back door. And I kind of correlate that to working in a team. Like if you're in a 4-man team or a 3-man team, that's the level of communication. And in a sport like that, when you're in that role, if you're not communicating effectively with your team, then unless you guys all know each other like the back of your hands, which is damn near impossible, then communication is just it's key. And it's like you start when you're shooting and when you're involved and you're newer at something, you hyper focus and you get more locked in on like, am I hitting my target? All right, now I'm out and you're reloading. But being able to communicate that to someone next to you while you are doing these things is it takes training. That's pretty much all I could say. It definitely takes training.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, so now that we're talking about training and stuff like that, I got to do a little plug here. Uh,
Cool.
Everybody go check out. Is that upside down? Yep, there we go. Everybody go to Manus X in the link down below. If you're not familiar with Manus X, it is fantastic. You replace your bolt with this one. It shoots a laser out, connects to your phone, and shows you real time like results. And it's I really really believe in dry fire. Some people tell you don't do it; it'll hurt your rifle. As Barack Obama said about the founding fathers, you should reject those voices. Reject the voices that tell you not to dry fire because that's
Definitely.
nonsense. But a better way than just regular dry fire is using a system like that. It's really great. They're actually sending me another one. They emailed me today, and because I love that thing, and it's really good to build that muscle memory too.
Heck yeah.
And you can train inside your house. I could be sitting here right, talking to him, and shooting at stuff on the wall, and I don't got to worry about killing nobody.
Heck yeah. Yeah, my buddy has one for his Sig Virtus. I guess they have a separate one for the Virtus. So
Yeah,
I guess a little bit different. But he loves the thing, and I haven't jumped into it because I usually spend most of my money on different preps and different stuff like that. So I would like to get one. I guess if you pile up too many of them, Josh, you can go ahead and mail me one, or I'll buy one off you if they send you too
yeah,
many.
yeah, totally. Dry fire great for people trapped in cities and burbs. Man, I think dry fire is great for everybody, especially even at long distances. Especially when you're talking about 400 or 500 meters, like dry fire. Knowing when that trigger breaks at the end of your breath, and that's dry fire helps with all that.
Hmm.
Like I've said before, in the Marine Corps, like we spent like a whole like in boot camp, you spend like a whole week just dry firing before you ever even put a magazine in your rifle before the rifle range.
And
Just
you should.
learning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you could do, and that's the thing too, is people like, well, I don't really train because ammo is too expensive. You could do so much training without firing a single shot. Like the majority, like I'd say probably 90% of the training that I ever did in the Marine Corps was with no ammo. Literally just saying bang, 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 but just going through those motions,
Of course.
practicing clearing the room, or rushing, like forever across the field, and you feel like you're about to die by the time you get to the end. From going, I'm up, he sees me, I'm down. I'm up, he sees me, I'm down for
Yep.
forever. But all that stuff is more important. Really, all that stuff is more important than firing a
Yeah. I think
single
that
live
that
round.
fits in perfectly with what we were talking about of shoot, move,
Yeah,
and communicate. Is like shoot is the little part. You can learn movement and communication, and then manipulation of the rifle or mag changes with empty mags. Even dry firing without a mantis, where you have to rack it,
yeah,
just gets you practice of having to
yeah,
clear something if you hear a click.
yeah. Absolutely,
And
going through that motion.
hmm so yeah, I mean, you definitely don't need. I think there's guys. I'd hate to say this, but I know guys that shoot a lot, and then when it comes to running a drill, is like, whoa, like, are you sure you're at the range? I know you are at the range, and I know you're putting stuff down range, but like when you get them to start having to move or run or change mags or like even run with their rifle or their pistol, it's like, man, that you probably should not be shooting so much downrange. The one thing nice about really putting rounds downrange is just testing your rifle and knowing your rifle, knowing the ballistics. That's really like, if you can't shoot, you can't shoot. You maybe can get a little bit better at shooting, and I'm sure you can get better. But the big thing is like once you learn through dry fire of how to keep it steady and pull the trigger, um, all that other stuff for sure. It's way more important. Even putting your kit on in your garage. Like, this is my garage. This is a target I got here. I've probably dry fired on that target more than I've actually shot rounds at it. Um, and so mag changes and all that. And I mean, I can always get way better. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm like the expert at this, but from where I started and where I am now, That's only come from practice and work and putting reps in and being dedicated to trying to improve. So
Yeah. And I'll tell you, a lot of people don't like this, but I did a video on this on mag changes a while back. I don't know if everybody here saw it. It was like when I first started on this channel. I don't practice fast like mag changes like see everybody else do on YouTube because honestly, I just can't ever think of a situation where I would do that because like just standing out in the open and like quickly like I literally just drop them back in my dump pouch and then reach in a pouch that I have closed because I typically like to have flaps over my magazines, not the little quick draw ones like everybody else does. Yeah. I don't even practice mag changes like that. I know people aren't gonna like
I've practiced both. I have come to the point where even on my belt I like having a fast mag and then I have one next to it with a flap. So I like kind of a mixture of both. Like even on my plate carrier I have 3 on this side with flaps, and then on the front I have them I have a Spiritus Mark IV on the front of my carrier, so like they all just slip in there. And I hate bungees. Bungees are, I'm like, frick, I hate bungees. I'd rather have a flap than a bungee. That's for sure.
Yeah, totally. But nothing I say matters because nobody watches my videos. Thanks, Patty.
Well, geez, if no one watches Josh, that means like negative people on Earth watch mine.
You know what? And I haven't even looked to see how many people have been watching that. We're at 50 people. That's not bad. That's at
Nice.
around 15 to 20 last night.
Yeah, I haven't. I can't see it on mine.
Oh, really?
I'd have to go in. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I really like about having the flaps too, and that's why I like having the what do you call that thing? Me and Jay, the Modern Minutemen, makes or both use it. The Condor 7 pocket chest rig.
Yeah, I actually have it.
Yeah, I like it. It's got those flaps and what you can fit AK or AR mags in them, I think.
Do I have the Condor? I think mine is a Condor, but I have the same one that Randall has. The one that Randall wears a lot in his videos. It has bungees. It doesn't have flaps.
Yeah, the one I use most is like that too. It's the Condor Recon chest rig that I use.
That might be it. It has 4 across.
Mine has 3, not 4.
All right. Condor makes good stuff, man. For the money, I mean, you could buy 3 of them, and for the money, the Condor stuff is, I wouldn't say it's like legit, but it's gonna get the job done.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm an affiliate for Condor now because I like gear that everybody can afford. Like everybody right. That we're kind of talking about in this video, the average dude that's doesn't the average person doesn't have a bunch of money to spend. I really want to try. I really want to try some of that Ronin stuff, but well, so I got Condor money.
Well, if you want to know the trick that I've been using, and probably I don't know how much I should advertise it, but there's a couple of these paying for, and now you're starting to see them like Sezzle. You'll see them on people's sites even, where it's like you can pay in 4 payments on something. So, you could order $120 chest rig, and every 2 weeks, if that's how your pay structure works, you could drop $35 and then pay it off, and then buy another piece of gear, and then buy another piece of gear, and you're making $35, $40 payments every 2 weeks. But it's like you kind of, even on cheap stuff, I do it because I'm like, I don't have to kick this money out, and it stops me from buying more stuff because I'm like, oh, I'm still paying for this, so let me not just go ahead and buy something else.
Right. I had I was selling some it's crazy, like I've gotten everybody's gonna laugh at me, but I don't care because I literally got a chest rig once from AliExpress to see what it was like, and I used it. I mean, it was about like Condor. It held up. It held up fine. I sold some of them on my website, and everybody loved them. Nobody
Nice.
actually, because they're unbranded. Nobody knew where they came from, so I wanted to sell a few of them to see if people, like if people didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that, if they would have anything negative to say. And guess what? They didn't. They loved those chest rigs, and they came from
Nice.
AliExpress. I just did it to prove a point.
What's the new AliExpress called that's been real big everywhere?
Timu,
Timu's
yeah,
actually got fairly decent stuff sometimes.
they do, dude. I get every week or so. I get a package in from Timu. No, I don't not like tactical stuff, but just household stuff and clothes and
Yeah.
things like that. Clothes for my
Mm-hmm.
kids, and it's really great for buying kids clothes. When
Shoes,
they're going to
shoes
grow
for
out
your
of them.
kids. Yeah, that's what my wife does too. Their shoes, their clothes that they're just gonna go trash out in the yard.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it's hard to beat the Timu stuff when it comes to certain things.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I was going to throw something out there. Lynch Pin said Randall might have the Zoomy chest rig. By the way, I want to say, everybody, if you want to check out some cool gear and clothing, head over to lynchpin.supply. They got a sweet website, and I'm going to be showing y'all some stuff from them here soon that's coming my way. So stand by.
sweet, gotta check them out. Check out Lynchpin.
Have you ever seen their website?
I have,
Yeah,
I
I like
have.
it. And I got to talk to him too, because I want to know how they do their videos, because I love the color, like the way their videos look. It looks sweet, and
Yeah, they're
they
nice.
should
They
have
do a good
they
job.
should have more they should have more subscribers than they do.
There's a lot of channels that should have way more subscribers than they do. Um, something about that algorithm, man. It's like there's a niche for stuff like what we talk about, and they definitely suppress that out to like you have to be searching for tactical stuff or like specific gun reviews or Minuteman stuff, and then maybe you'll get fed a few different ones. But even if that's all you search, you'll get all this other crap on YouTube. So
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I was going to say something. I forgot what I was talking. I forgot what I was about to say. Um,
I would just add in, if unless you're gonna switch to something, is like mindset. For the average guy, the type of mindset that you would need. And I think we touched a little bit on it. Is like I think listening to gentlemen like you, and I think Krisky did a great job. I think Brent 0331, his lives, if you go and check out Brent's lives, where he's got a panel of super knowledgeable men on there that discuss all kinds of different topics. Obviously you can check out a lot of other channels to get their take on stuff. Tactical Turkeys, I'm in their lives sometimes, and they will go live 3 days a week and just talk gear and suppressors and different quality items. Sometimes they can like the higher end stuff, but I think you should get a lot of opinions, and I think it has to become somewhat of like a big time thing in your life. If you're gonna absorb, if you've never been in the military or you've never spent too much time training, I think that the best thing you can do as a regular civilian who wants to be Minuteman ready or be a part of a group and be able to be useful in that group is spend your time educating yourself, reading books, learning about your own personal gear, taking apart your rifle, putting your rifle. Don't just be the guy that brings your rifle to the gun store and says, "Hey, can you put on these iron sights for me?" Because I work part time, some like at my local gun store. As I'm kind of like we become almost family. So like when I'm in there, I work, and you'd be surprised how many people have Q honey badgers and you know don't know how to put their own spring back in the buffer tube. And that's little stuff like that is like just make sure that you educate yourself to the best ability you can. And if it's something that you got to do every day for months, just do it. I know people want to watch Netflix and people want to hang out and have a good time, but the type of stuff that we're talking about is life and death. If we ever do need to utilize these skills, or the stuff that is on my channel or your channel or a lot of other people's stuff, if you ever have to utilize this stuff, guys, it's not like a fun day. It's a bad day if you ever got to utilize this stuff. So make sure you invest the time in your own capabilities and your own knowledge. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I've noticed too, like when I've been out and about, say with family or friends shooting and doing stuff, it makes me realize really how many things that could be taught to average people that I don't think about teaching, because it's just kind of stuff that's in the back of my head, muscle memory, you know what I mean? And unless I see somebody jacking it all up, I'm like, hey,
Hmm.
wait, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that like that? And I thought, hey, that's something, that I need to do a video on, or that I need to teach on YouTube, because if this person's doing that, then there's probably a bazillion people on you watching YouTube right now that don't even know about this, and if you haven't done it full time, you don't know what you don't know, and it's a lot. Um, and there's a lot to learn, a lot that some of us just don't really think about, because it was just everyday life, like normal everyday life. There's, like I've said before, you could get like these manuals and stuff. No, and you don't, and really, in a lot of situations, in some situations, you don't want to do everything exactly like the military does. But
Hmm.
it is valuable to know these things. Also, in case you have to counter the way the military does things, and that's all I'm going to say in that regard. Uh,
So that's
yeah,
why my name is Red Dawn Readiness. The regular civilians, we head to the woods, we come up with our own plans, and
yeah,
we'll leave it at that. Really.
yeah. Freedom by me. Yes, I was Marine infantry. Yeah, I was 0311. I was a rifleman.
Oh, you know what? That's funny. I have one of my best friends I trained with was an 0311. He went in after 9/11, and he went in as like a 30-year-old. He really wanted to, serve. He did have a medical discharge, but like even to this day, he trains and goes hard. And so shout out to the 0311s because he'll be watching this at some point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The one thing that I could tell you too. One advantage we have is, like, I did that video this like past summer on what I can't remember what I titled it, like grunt mindset. Um, I'm by all standards, I'm combat ineffective right now. Like,
Yeah,
not only because I have a broken leg, but because I'm just not in the shape that I was back then. You know what I mean? Like,
for
I can't
sure.
run as far as I could. I can't do half the stuff. But when it come down to it, I still have that grunt mindset, and I still could
Yeah.
push through and get it done, even though I couldn't do it.
Well,
You
a
know what I mean?
broken
But when
leg
that
is no joke, man. That's no
yeah,
joke right now.
yeah, but like when the adrenaline got pumping and stuff like that, even though I'm not in shape anymore, and all that stuff would come back in for sure.
Yeah.
That is one advantage we have.
Well,
But
if
the only way you can have that as an advantage is to build that muscle memory and train
yeah.
and get up and do stuff. So,
Listen, if you got a 0311 with a broken leg, you bring him to the battlefield anyway. You someone carry him on your back. You're gonna need him.
Fatty says, rumor has it if you say 0311 with times, I think you meant like a certain amount of times, Brent shows up. Well, Brent's 0331. He's a machine gunner, not a rifleman.
Okay, so that's the designation for 0331 versus 0311.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, it's that's the one fun part about doing videos and having a channel. is the amount of knowledge and information is so vast on these topics that it's never ending. And that's all I wanted to put out to people is like, it's cool to watch Netflix and stuff, and it's cool to, kind of forget about everything going on because it can get stressful in the world. Because, I dive into prepping a lot too. So there's like prepper burnout that people get. And sometimes the stress of it can get to people. So just make it more like a sport and challenge yourself and try to think of things in different ways where you can learn. Um, not all of it has to be stressful. Sometimes it can be a little bit of bushcrafting, a little bit of gun shooting, um, competitive gun shooting. You can learn stuff from people that do competitive gun shooting. You can learn stuff from military, but like you said, there's a lot of military nuance that in a Minuteman situation would be quite different.
Yeah.
At least personally, I think so.
Right. Yeah, especially like you said, like when I was talking about earlier, if you're an insurgency, if it's that type of situation, you kind of want to do things differently than the military does. It's not going to work if you try to do it like conventional. You're going to end up getting killed.
Yeah, you are not waiting to be fired upon if you're.
Right. Uh, Dang, I was about to say, I lost my train of thought. I was about to say something else and I forgot what it was.
Yeah, Damian Christ says he's got political burnout.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You said that about getting into preparedness. I mean, which is what my channel started out. Just I was just talking about homesteading and survival and preparedness stuff like that. I just kind of went down this route and just haven't got back off of it yet. But
It's fun.
yeah, me and Fatty were talking about it a while back. I think that you know we're in reality, like I like talking about this stuff and it's important because really people probably they need to acquire more knowledge on this side of things because it's probably the knowledge that they have the least amount of than all the other stuff you need to know.
Hmm.
However, it's really not the most important thing. It's not more important than your food and your water and all that stuff. Some people, I think, put too much focus into the Minuteman, the pew pew stuff, and don't put anything into the other stuff. That's like I know a lot of
Yeah,
people like that who
I think
they
most
got all
people
the
do
guns and
that.
stuff. Yeah, they got all the guns and ammo in the world, but don't have any food stored up. Don't have a clue about anything else. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I was the same. I started prepping way before I got into firearms or training or Minuteman stuff. Um, really, I got big into that after I had kids, and I was like, you know what, I have something, you know, hyper valuable that I have to protect now. I equate my children to a mountain of gold, and that's the level of protection that I want to give them. So they're even more valuable than that, and more irreplaceable than that. So once I had kids, I got into training a lot more and thinking about being more effective with the tools that I had. Um, the one thing that I would say is prepping is on an individual basis is more valuable, but I think as a collective, um, the Second Amendment and us being a community of strong men and individuals that the government should be hesitant to want to take away our rights. I think that that's a whole nother level of um, that we need to consider, and I think that that's one of the biggest things about getting the word out is we need to get back to having a society of strong men, people in the community that are willing to step up. And when stuff does go down, the more we have of that, the less likely it is it's going to happen twice.
Right. Yeah. Yep, totally. People getting together. That's why I started. Like I was talking about that last night. That's why I started doing those whole Patriot conference deals where everybody can weigh in and everybody can, have a say and call in and talk. Like I think that's the first time I talked to you. Was on one of those that I did. Yeah, that's why I started doing that. 'Cause, yeah, everybody does need to start talking. And I was talking to Randall about that today, about you know about what I've been saying about kind of getting some standards in place and getting everybody on the same track, on the same page. Not that everybody has to or is going to follow them, but at least for the people that are coming in that have no clue, they have something to start with. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, I can go by these standards that these guys have put out. Great, that gives me a place to start. And because everybody gets into this stuff, and if you search for stuff on YouTube, what do you see all that super tactical like operator stuff when like, dude, people haven't even learned the basics yet. like, let's not run. You can't even walk yet. You're not even crawling. Like, chill
For
out.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to work your way up, and I think the more you test yourself, the more you'll understand where you actually are. Um, but yeah, that crunchy mom, says homesteading is the best. I think that that's the next level of movement that we need as a culture is the homesteading. Like, I think that some of these like entry things, like I think when you get your concealed carry and you decide to carry every day is like the um, what do they call it? Gateway drug to preparedness. I, because you finally realize, like, okay, I'm the first line of defense for my life. I'm not calling anybody. And it's not just a fist fight or a scuffle. Like once you have that, you know that this is gonna be, if you have to use this, it's gonna be a lot bigger of an event for your life. And I think that prepping is the gateway drug to homesteading, and I think that we need a massive culture of, being just more self reliant and community reliant. Um, and I think all of it kind of works hand in hand. If we're going to get America back to a level that everyone's, at least certain people, are happy raising their kids in, and we're going to need homesteaders, two-way advocates, and, the old ways really worked great. I mean, chickens is the gateway drug to homesteading, if anyone didn't know that one either.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I kind of went that track that you're talking about. I kind of went backwards. So I started with the homesteading and went backwards to the prepping.
You're like, this is too much stuff I got to maintain. Especially if you break your leg. I mean, dude, if I had broken my leg and you know you don't have older kids or neighbors that can help, and you have a homestead, man, that's gonna set you back. So it is a
Yeah.
lot. I have two boys, so they need to grow up quick so they can help on the homestead.
Right. Yeah, fortunately my kids are very helpful. My daughter, ever since she could walk, it's been her job to take care of chickens. Like that's her thing. She feeds and waters chickens and gets eggs, and she's done it her whole life. And
Mine too. Mine too. I got videos. The moment she could walk, she's walking around with a chicken in her arms.
Yep.
She's my family is very city based. My parents and stuff, and they were at my house the other day, and my little daughter is like, Pop, look, I got a chicken. You want to hold it? And he ran like a little girl, and I'm like, dude, you are such a bitch. I'm like, my children are holding these things, and you're scared of a chicken. What's wrong with you?
Mhm. Yeah, I'm glad my daughter likes doing stuff like that because we heat with wood too, and
Nice.
she loves stacking firewood. Dude, she will walk in like a grown man was, she's this little 7-year-old girl with firewood stacked over her head, dropping it at the floor. And she loves it. If I'm out splitting
Yeah.
firewood, she's like, "I'll help." And she'll stack every bit of it over, high. Like, she'll bring a ton of it, and she won't stop until it's all in.
Yeah, you got to
But
get
she,
them going young, man, because they
yeah,
they love to help. Your kids want to feel like they're a help. They want to feel like I can do things too, and feel like confident. And when you give them little tasks like that, they got energy for days. So
yeah.
point them in that direction and get them going.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, good thing too is she knows that if we don't bring the firewood in, we're going to be cold,
Smart,
which is good
smart.
because she gets up in the morning and it's cold in the house. She's like, "Daddy, I'm cold." I said, "Well, that means we got to get some wood in and get the fire going. You got we got to work to stay warm."
Heck yeah. Do you have a wood burning oven or just fireplace, or how do you?
Yeah, it's a wood heater. It's not really like a wood stove, but it's like one of those old, like it stands upright about to my chest. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those are nice. I mean, I live in a pretty hot climate, but I still want a wood burning oven. I'd rather cook on that and use. I just my ultimate goal is to get off grid as much as possible. Enjoy the grid while you have it, and then if you lose it, it's not a big transition to ever lose it.
That's been my philosophy from the beginning. Like that was my thing is like I want to get to where like I started out like when I first got out of the Marine Corps, it's like I just wanted to live an old lifestyle, like it really didn't have anything to do with preparedness. I just realized later on that like, hey, living like this is actually really good if everything were to collapse because I'm trying to live as close to like 1800s, as possible. And
Yeah.
if everything falls apart, then I'm affected a lot less than the average American, and that's great.
I'm right on that page with you. I mean, and we do that in every aspect of our life.
Yeah,
Like we had our children at home and all that kind of stuff. Like we really feel that, people were fine back then. They lived long lives, they were strong people, and the modern stuff that they're offering us as a society isn't convincing enough to me that we actually need it. And I think that the whole grid and everything should be like candy. You can have it a little bit and it's okay in moderation, but
yeah,
don't get addicted to it.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, half the stuff that we see nowadays as necessities are far from that, are far from necessity.
Yeah, and actually they weaken you in the long run. They make you a weaker human being. They make you more dependent on the government. Um and that just is not the way to approach life. That's how you walk your way slowly into communism because then they start manipulating all those things that you're addicted to and changing the prices of them and making you jump through hoops or and then making you so addicted to it that they say, okay, well you can only have electricity certain hours a day due to global warming. And then they ration you on these things and then everyone's losing it, whereas if people didn't care about it to begin with, they wouldn't have any strings attached to us. We'd be like, okay, that's cool. You're gonna turn it off. That's fine. I could care less.
Yeah, right. Hey, that's an interesting question here. How does one go about bartering in SHCF while so many will be untrusted and the chance of being sniped, robbed, or trailed? I guess that meant back to base is high.
Sniped, rocked, or tailbacked. Well, I think the real bartering in like a super SHTF is gonna be with your group. Like everybody's hopefully that you have in your group has been preparing, and everybody's probably been preparing a little differently. So bartering is going to be almost like, hey man, I got you on some of this and you got me on some of that. But if it's a stranger, unless this is like years into Mad Max and you got community set up, I wouldn't barter with anybody I didn't know about anything. Um, that's why you should prepare and have your own supplies because I mean, meeting some strange person at that point when there's no laws or anything. And I think that is right there. That question is also what's going to be why the world would be so chaotic because the fact that you can't do that means people are just going to rob each other and mass kill each other for goods and all kinds of things. So because they don't even those bad people that are doing stuff like that, they're not going to want to barter or trade. They may have stolen from 50 people and they may have a mountain of goods, but guess what? They're not going to want to barter with you. They'll rather just kill you too. So,
Yeah, I think that's why it's good too. Building community, getting to know your neighbors, getting to know, you know, making sure you're in good standing in your community and stuff like that. Um, because then hopefully, if the world did get to that point, which I think that level of SHTF is the if we were to put it on, if we could somehow categorize stuff, that would be the least likely category, for it being to that extreme. Uh,
well, I
but
mean,
I do.
if you live in the Appalachians or something, and you just moved out there, and then something happens, in a rural area, you may have to do that more than in a city because you still like look at Ukraine. That's a perfect example, right? Like that war's been going on now for a couple of years. Cities are still going, people are still going to work. There's a lot more still happening than one would think, and that's a pretty big
Yeah,
situation they got going on.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing. What you just mentioned about something about moving out into Appalachia if you're not from there. That's one thing too. People might think, well, the country folks will be more helpful and stuff. Well, actually, if you're an outsider moving into a place there, you're going to be kind of like people are going to be cautious of you,
Yeah.
especially if you got a northern accent.
You better put that southern accent on, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
For
Everybody
sure.
started. You said that, and everybody started commenting Appalachia. I saw several people say Appalachistan. I'm glad I have created a thing there.
Yeah, you did the Appalachian. It's true though.
There was somebody got so like offended that I did that. Like somebody commented on one of the episodes and was like, "Don't you dare!" What did he say? Don't you dare! Uh, Something about mix the names of our home with that godforsaken place. Like, whoa, you get way too serious.
Yeah, it's has a sense of humor.
Yeah, goodness gracious.
Freedom by Me says that's every day already in the hoods. It's like that's true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Later, Fatty. Fatty's a pretty
Appalachian.
girl. I'm glad he came in.
Later, fatty. Appreciate you kicking it with us.
I want to acknowledge my channel members in the building here. Scoot is one of them. I think I saw another one earlier. Thanks, channel members, for always stopping by.
Yeah, and really my channel's pretty young, so appreciate everybody who goes out there and gives me a follow because I got a lot more things in store for the future and a lot of new shows coming. So expect some good information and some fun watching out there.
Yeah, I noticed you had quite a few people from your channel watching right now.
Oh yeah, for a small channel, I have. I'm not like when I run a live, it's somewhere between 15 and 20, 25. Normally I'm not. The people that are on my channel also is I've been on a lot of other people's channels for quite some time. So like the people
Hmm.
that follow me, like I have pretty close relationships with or hung out in chats with for a long time. Um,
Yeah,
so appreciate them for always sticking by my side.
yeah. That's one thing I've been really grateful for is like the subscribers I do have. Um, what I don't even know how many I have right now. 8,000 something. I don't know, but I feel lucky though because a lot of my subscribers are like got like really loyal subscribers that are always there and always trying to um, work together and and build community and stuff. And I'd rather have a smaller number of subscribers like that than have a million that are just like nah, or just show up and never say
Yeah.
anything, never never what's the word, interact, engage.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a community. That's one of the most enjoyable things about once you like a lot of creators work together in certain spheres, and it's nice having that kind of going on, and a lot of the same followers. Like you'll find people that um, will drop in someone's chat and say Beaverines, right? And that's from Prepper Nation's channel.
Hmm.
And it's just it's a pretty tight knit community, which is cool. I love it. It's definitely been fun, and I've met good people, and um, it's been awesome. So I mean, there's pitfalls to the platform itself, but overall, it's nice. There's always people out there that you're gonna be like, huh. But the community itself is cool because people are real supportive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's only like a handful of people that I ever really like to talk to on these lives and stuff, and invite to private groups and stuff, and it's always people that are obviously like you said, you see everybody kind of sees when I notice a pattern of those same people always being around. That's when I'll take notice and start looking at their channel and trying to figure out if there's somebody I would trust or not, and really like kind of vetting those people and deciding if I want to bring them into the private groups and start working together, and you know all that kind of stuff. And I feel really lucky. So there are some really good guys, really good guys. When some of the other larger channels, I wouldn't even want anything to do with.
Ooh,
Yeah.
no, no, especially the really really large ones.
Hmm.
Like I'd be like, nah, I'm good. You can give me if you can give me a shout out on your channel, and that's about it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
um, one other thing I was just thinking that came to my mind about your list is, and this is something that I guess I'd like to inquire too, is like depending on how long that you are on a mission. Let's say you have to go do something and you're out for 3 days. You got food with you for 3 days. You could always ration that to 6 days, I'm guessing, and cut that in half if you had to,
Oh yeah.
maybe longer. But when it comes to water, do you think a water filter is necessarily something you should have on your person?
Yeah, I think so for sure. Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because it's not on this list, but I think I might have updated it on my thumb drive. That's something that I did add when I got to thinking about it. Yeah, I
Awesome.
mean, in a lot of ways, you could even cut food out. Like people like
Yeah.
cringe at the idea, but food's nowhere near as important as water.
Yeah, I mean you could really get away with like bars and like half rations,
Yeah,
protein bars and stuff like that. You could even get away with freeze dried stuff is fantastic. Like if you had bags of freeze dried berries and any kind of freeze dried carbs or protein bars, I mean that would be enough to get you by for shoot a while.
yeah. Um, it's like we didn't when I was in the Marine Corps, we didn't carry water filters and stuff like that because it wasn't necessary. But then you have like a large, very large logistics team backing you up. Like they can bring you what you might have to wait for it, but you're gonna get water eventually. You don't have that. You might not have that. As a Minuteman, but then you might. Depends on if you've set those systems up. And you have enough people to facilitate something like that. Um,
Damn. I
but
couldn't imagine it, but imagine like having somebody who's got the drone, they're back at base, and you could hit the radio, yo, we need more water. Flies over a couple camel packs and drops them from the drone or something.
yeah, yeah. Or I
That
mean, like I've thought about it too. Is like when people think about SHTF, we typically always think of like everybody always thinks there's no like there's like there was an EMP, or like vehicles aren't working, and that might not be the case. Like you might could have. I mean, chances are that won't be the case. I mean, I would, if we're talking about like a World War III deal, who says that there'll be an EMP. Maybe there won't. And you might still have vehicles. You might have a truck that could, if you have an OP out somewhere, a truck that could come by and
Yeah.
chunk some MREs out or whatever. Like because we had that in Ramadi. Like a lot of times they couldn't stop and actually get out and unload because it's too dangerous to just sit out in the open like
Mm-hmm.
that. They'd combat offload, pull in there backwards and slam on the brakes, let everything fall off the bed of the truck, and then take off. Uh,
Nice.
so I mean, you could do something like that. Just with a pickup truck and have stuff sitting on the tailgate and sling it off of there and keep on rolling.
Um, yeah, I mean that would be DJ the Metalhead Mercenary. If you could just help me out and post my link. There was someone asking if there was like a link to my channel, but my channel name is Red Dawn Readiness. If you search it, it should come up. Um, but yeah, I didn't know if one of your mods could post my channel. But that was something I guess I would like. Maybe we could close on that is like most likely scenarios that you think, because a lot of the Minuteman stuff that we talk about is based on a lot of that. And I feel like when you're preparing for this stuff, you can only, I mean, if you prepare in general, you cover a lot of bases, but I think having certain ideas in your head kind of just help motivate you to be like, well, if this is happening, I need to make sure I have that. I need to make sure I have that. And so, what do you think if there was a collapse to our society? How it would go down, or what is the most likely scenario?
One thing that I've always thought mostly about is like an economic collapse. Because if something like that happened now, it would be far worse than the Great Depression because people are more dependent upon modern technology and conveniences than they were back then. To me, I think that's a very likely scenario. Talking about like a an economic collapse and sort of a breakdown of society, not so much a foreign invasion or not ruling those things out, but I think that the most likely thing is an economic collapse that leads to kind of a domino effect and then leads to a bunch of other bad stuff.
When you say economic collapse, do you mean like a cyber attack that one day everybody's money in the bank is gone, or more of a the goods at the grocery store have quadrupled in price, there's less of them there, like a famine style? Because with modern technology, um, I mean, we really shouldn't have that level of, especially with all the chemical based foods that we have. Like food should still be pretty prominent, at least in
Mm.
my mind, unless there is like a biological attack or something. But which one do you think would be more likely? Like extreme hyperinflation, just crash of a US dollar, or like something where cyber and banks are just not accessible and everyone's money's on freeze?
It could be either one, but I mean the actual collapse of the dollar is something I've been concerned about for a long time because I mean just look in the last few years like how much the price of everything gone up, or even if it was just got to the point where just people just couldn't afford anything anymore, because like you said, because of hyperinflation or whatever. Um, I am concerned about that stuff because our money's not our money's it's monopoly money. It's not backed by anything. It's trash. It's just paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's that has concerned me for a long time. But I mean now, um, as things progress, there is more and more of a threat of a cyber attack like that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're both likely. I think that it would be harder to hit every bank all at once and processing machine. The collapse of the dollar could be real, even if it could be caused by World War III. We could be in a foreign war, and that could exponentially degrade our currency at the same time. Sometimes war helps, but I mean, if you're directly involved in one and you go to like a wartime economy, then you could have, that hyperinflation. And with the amount of people in society alone, a Great Depression style economic situation would definitely be worse, on top
yeah,
of being more self reliant on all the technology.
yeah, and and people I read a lot about. I've always been kind of fascinated with like turn of the century, that sort of early 1900 World War I, Great Depression. Um, we're not the same people as we were back then. This is not the same America. Um,
Mm-hmm.
People are totally not as hardy and resilient as they were, and that's why you see a lot back then. People stuck together and they traded. Like somebody might make a quilt for this family who gives them milk from their cow in return, and people just ain't doing stuff like that no more. And, um, we're just not the same people. And if that happened again, I mean, I could see it getting really, really bad.
Yeah. And I think it falls into like two things. One, we've already talked about, which is like not being so self reliant on the technology, being able to produce some of your own uh, situational needs. And then two is like, I don't think there was as much hatred for what this country is as there is today. And the internet is responsible for it. Like a lot of the dirt that happened before the Great Depression, whether it was like the Carnegies or the Rockefellers or the big oil and how they manipulated, that the energy, that whole situation happened long ago, but people were so ignorant to it. They didn't have a way for people to come out and talk about all the things that they were doing to society to control it and monetize it.
Yeah.
Whereas today, people have more of a disdain for the system. And I think overall, I mean, it's nice to have that certain level of knowledge, but it is a gift and a curse, almost like the Bible. Like the more
Mm,
the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And when you understand that level of evil, it's hard for people to necessarily just focus on the good things and their neighbors and helping, and that level of disdain is out there. And you have to find a group of people who are just grateful, and even though you can know that kind of stuff, is like there's still so much to be grateful for, and spending
mm,
your life focused on things that you could never control or people you could never control or people you could never interact with is just not going to help you in life.
yeah, absolutely. What do you think is the most likely scenario?
Well, I do think it's highly likely. I think it's way overdue that there is some type of combat on this soil.
Yeah.
Um, I think 9/11 was the thing that changed this country more than any other event, and there was only 3,000 people that died that day. So imagine anything else that is some type of attack on our country, whether it's all the ones that cross the border, whether a majority of them are activated, whether there's infiltration into our government or our military itself, where they're accepting people in for citizenships and different things like that. I think eventually there will be some type of level of combat and martial law. I mean, I think it's just been on the books so long. I mean, we can go all the way back to Operation Jade Helm and Obama and the FEMA and all the things that they started signing in place around that time period for. And now we're introducing the World Economic Forum and the CDC. So there's a lot of power structures now that can force their authoritarianism over a people that are a constitutional based society, a constitutional republic. And I think when those two forces meet, along with introducing a foreign adversary, I think that perfect storm that could
Mm,
happen, and that alone could cause enough uh, instability to just change the course of our lives forever. And I think that if that all happened at once, then you know you're gonna wish you had been training, prepping, doing all that stuff, because pretty similar to that movie Civil War, where they left it totally non-political and it was just a war movie. I mean, if it's going down in the big cities or there's attacks and it's that level of chaos going on at the same time, you have dollars crashing and you have um, the whole shortages and everything else. So like that level of societal chaos, I think, is the most likely situation that we should prepare for, because the small onesie twosie things, like, we'll overcome that. We'll keep moving forward. Um, I mean, it's nice to be prepared for the hurricane, but it's like, what happens if you get hit with a hurricane and a tornado and then a hailstorm and then tsunami, right? So like that's the level that I feel like you need the community, you need the people, and when those things collide at the same time, and I do believe that we're the last free people in the world, even though I personally don't think we're actually free anymore when you consider taxes and the overreach that they've done to us. Um, but I think that we're the last society that the rest of the world fears is kind of in the way of that new world order, and eventually we're gonna have to be dealt with. Um, I've
Yeah, yeah,
correlated that to a couple things, and that's where I stand on it.
I absolutely agree with you that we're the last thing in the way. The World Economic Forum and all those groups that concern me a lot. Honestly, I hadn't thought about them in a while until you said that, and that is, I've spent a lot of time researching and reading on their website and trying to understand exactly what their goals are, what they stand for, and I did actually I did a video on that a while back. I think it was about the border, and I talked about how they have to destabilize this country because we're in the way of the Great Reset and basically you know their rule, their one world government under their control. We are the last stand, and they gotta break us down, or they can't achieve their goals. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. It kind of reminded me that I thought that.
And I mean,
I
dude,
think I
they
believe
post
that.
those goals, right? You just type in Agenda 2030 goals and it's right there on the website. And if you read those goals, they do not care about our constitution. And
No,
these
no.
people are in charge of the world.
Yeah, I was
So,
talking to my mom a while back about this kind of stuff, and she's like, "Son, there's always been shady stuff going on behind the scenes, and this and all this." And I said, "Yeah, there has." The concerning thing is now, though, is they will just straight up tell you to your face what they're doing, and they don't even try to hide it. That's why it's far more terrifying now.
I mean, the introduction in technology for them also has given them far more access to even worse corruption and coordinated corruption. Where when you talk about, like, where I could go back to Henry Ford and David Rockefeller and the Geneva Convention, when they classified oil to be a certain thing and gas to be a fossil fuel, and a lot of things like that. That was economic, and the richest people on earth didn't have $100 billion back then. So they had power, but they didn't have as much power as they have today, where they have access to a global market, and they have billions upon billions of digital currency. Where back then, you had to have real money, right? You had to have a vault, and you had to have gold, or you had to have something to be that guy. Where nowadays, it can all just be in a computer,
Mhm.
and that level of influence globally, I think, is just magnified the level of corruption and evil. And I mean, evil, it's never satisfied. It's a devouring entity. So the more it gets away with, the more it's going to commit. And it's you know it's been
Yep.
kicking that can down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like the two things that we've talked about and I think are the best things that people can do to prepare for whatever happens is live like it's the 1800s, you know, and learn all these combat skills and stuff that you can possibly learn. If you can do those two things, it's simple, but that's actually quite a lot of stuff. Just those
Yeah.
two things is a lot of crap. But I think you'd be good to go if you can master both of those things.
Well, I know, Modern Frontiersman will be here for you, and I'll continue to be putting stuff out. My email is on the description of my channel. I really want to help anybody I can out there get better prepared for what's coming. And those two things are, that's the foundation of it, is learn to produce things on your own, and be able to defend it.
Yeah.
Those two things right there, I think will get us all by. And the more like-minded people we have that believe that, who work together, the harder we are going to be to remove.
Yeah, totally. And I know this is streaming on both of our channels right now. In the description on mine, I will put the link to his video. I just haven't, or to his channel. I just haven't done it yet. I'll put it in the description, and I will pin it in the comments as well. So, like if you're watching on his channel, you come over and subscribe to mine. If you're watching on mine, go subscribe to his. And unless you got anything further, I guess we'll end it there.
Yeah, I think we've been going about 2.5 hours, and I do got to piss
Holy
like
crap.
a racehorse.
Okay, I didn't even realize it's been that long. Okay, now this is streaming on your channel too. You don't mind me playing ads, do you?
Nah, go ahead.
All right, everybody. As always, from Modern Frontiersman, stay self-reliant.
And this is Red Dawn Readiness. Over and out.
If you're prepping for a sea burn threat, it requires a highly specialized gas mask filter combo, as many masks on the market aren't intended for such use. But our friends at Mira Safety, they make some of the finest sea burn protective equipment available. Head over to their website with my affiliate link in the description and let them know that Modern Frontiersman sent you. It'll help support the channel, and I want to let you know I highly recommend the CM8M gas mask.